So I was like, you know what? The next time I do this basil thing, I'm gonna grow it from seed. And that's what I did this time. I'm like, I'm gonna grow from seed and I'm gonna raise it myself. My first experience with basil happened last year around this time. I had bought a pre-grown basil from my local nursery, and at first when I got the basil, it was looking nice and fresh. It was nice and solid. The stems were nice and plump and standing up straight. I brought it home, and over the next couple of weeks it started to droop, and it just did not have enough sunlight, enough of, I guess, anything. It just did not have enough. And since then I have learned. So I ended up getting these seeds a few months back at the same nursery. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me start growing these, like the proper way. So I had already had a grow light from a few months ago. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna grow some herbs and I'm gonna put them underneath the grow light, and hopefully that will fix the issue that I had previously, which it did. So this one's actually a organic basil. It's the Genovese basil. Yeah, I would say it was really good. Like, I think it took the appropriate amount of time. It didn't feel like it was taking forever. Like every couple of days, not even, like almost every day I was seeing progress. That's how fast I would say it was growing. Like, it was very visible. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, how long is this gonna grow? Like every day, basically almost every day, I would see that there has been a change. So I took these seeds. I have footage of how I planted them, how I got them in the soil. And after I planted them, it took approximately 2 months for them to get to a point where I can start pruning them and eating it. This one requires to be half an inch deep. So let me open this up. Oh my gosh, those seeds are everywhere. I'm gonna use this pot right here. I already put the drainage holes, as you can see. Let me put some soil inside of here. Oopsies, oh my gosh. Put the soil in. I'm just gonna also add some water, make sure it's nice and damp. We got a mess, 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 we got a mess. Okay, I'm gonna add the seeds. These ones are a little bit bigger than the thyme. These are the seeds. I'm gonna plop them in here. I'm just gonna add some soil as well. The other ones. Make sure that they cover nicely. Add a bit of water. This one. Okay, make sure it's nice and damp. Okay, so I'm gonna put this aside. what it looks like now. I've already pruned it once since I started to grow it, and yeah, so it got pretty big. Like, a few of the seeds did die. A few of the seeds did die because it was technically overcrowded when I did it, but the thing is the seeds are extremely tiny. They're so tiny. So by accident I put too much, and those are the ones that ended up not dying. So in regards to the sunlight, I leave it underneath the grow light for approximately, I'm gonna say like over 12 hours a day, because I leave it on throughout the whole day until I like sleep. So it's definitely over 12 hours a day. And I just leave it underneath the grow light and yeah, let it grow. Watering schedule, it kind of changed throughout the life of the basil. You kind of have to understand your plant and read your plant and know like what to do. Your plant will tell you. For example, like in the beginning, I wasn't watering as often because there's so much soil in here and it was already nice and damp and there wasn't as much growth. So I didn't even need to water like every week. I would just take a look at the soil, put my finger inside. If it was still damp, there wasn't really a need to water. As it started to grow at a faster rate, I did increase the water schedule. So I would water, let's just say like at some point, yeah, I got to a point where I would water twice a week. Before I was only watering once a week or once every like 10 days. So at some point I started watering twice a week because I noticed that when I didn't, the leaves would literally droop and feel sad. So I'm like, you know what? Let me up the water so that the leaves don't droop and that they can stay erected the entire time. So that's what I did and it worked. So yeah, I basically just ended up figuring out what schedule works for this plant to make sure that they don't droop. I don't want to water them when it's too late. I want to make sure that they get their water before they start drooping. So I had to just analyze and see what works for this basil. So yeah, basil, with any plant actually, just you have to kind of observe it and look at it, see what it's telling you, what it's communicating, like how it feels, and just act accordingly. And that's what I did. And I was really impressed that I was successful at growing this because I was a little bit nervous because of my first experience growing basil. Since my first one died. So I was like, okay, you know what? Like the first one that I bought died. So I was like, you know what? Let me start all over and see if I can make this a successful basil. In regards to fertilizer, I did give the basil plant food every 2 weeks. Yeah, sorry, no, not every 2 weeks. Every second watering, I would fertilize my basil. And yeah, it actually it helped out and nice and healthy, nice and strong. So yeah, we just fertilize it every second watering and add the fertilizer to my water. I would just add this fertilizer here. This one is the Schultz liquid plant food. Yeah, you can also use it for like herbs and stuff based on what it shows here on the box. Yeah, you can use it for like your food and stuff, like the food that you're growing, which is really neat. So Schultz. So I'm gonna show you how I pruned my basil, just so you guys get an idea of the pruning process and how to successfully prune, because I was able to do it myself. So I was actually a little bit nervous when I pruned. I was like, okay, is this really gonna grow as fast? Like, is it gonna grow back fast? I wasn't really sure what was gonna happen. And I'm like, you know what? Let me prune this and see what happens. So I pruned it, and I think it only took like 2 weeks for it to grow like way past what it was before I pruned it. So I was really impressed at how fast it grows back. I got these pruners at Canadian Tire. Shout out to Canadian Tire because you guys have been with me since I was born. So I appreciate you. And yeah, so When I first pruned it, I didn't actually have pruners. I literally just used my nails. And then I realized this is not gonna work in the long term because some stems got pretty thick and it was starting to get difficult to prune. So I'm like, you know what? I need to get actual pruners. So I got these lovely pruners. They're not actually sharp, but they have like a nice pinch. So I'm gonna prune these and show you how that's done. This is an example of how I pruned a previous leaf here. So basically I pruned it right here. As you can see, there's a cut. Let me get that closer here. There's a cut right here. I cut it right here. There used to be a stem right here, but as you can see here, I cut it and there's now two leaves have grown on the side. It didn't even take that long. I think it took like around approximately 3 weeks for them to just start growing like crazy. So if you take it, shorten it a little bit, there's going to be a lot of growth that happens on both sides. So that's just an example. Let me show you guys how to prune it on one that has not been pruned. Let me see if I can find one here. Okay, so this stem right here has not been pruned. So all you need to do to prune it, take your pruners. You're gonna go right at the base where the two leaves meet. Right here, where the two leaves meet, and clip it right at the base. Just like that, very simple. So now you have this pruned portion. What will end up happening is there will be some growth that comes out on the sides. Two leaves instead of that one leaf, you get two leaves, two stems coming off of each side. So basically it ends up duplicating itself in a way and you end up having a lot of growth. So if you just keep on doing that, based on my basil packet, it does say to start pruning it when it grows 6 inches. If you start doing that, it will grow like crazy. So for example, if I just take this here and snip it right here where the two leaves meet, okay, then at this point, these two leaves, the baby leaves on the side are gonna start to growing into mature leaves, mature stems and leaves, and duplicate on each side. So it's a pretty beautiful process. It's pretty amazing, the whole process, honestly, like just seeing it grow so rapidly. Yeah, so like another one here, prune it, cut it, boom, done. You just keep on doing that until you've pruned them all of them, all the ones that need to be pruned, and that's about it. So thank you for watching me grow my basil, and I hope you enjoyed the whole process, and hopefully it inspires you to grow your own.